Hey everybody, Scott Lear here at B-Chord. We finally get to catch up with the one and only Mr. Sam Grow. How are you, sir?
Good, man. Thank you guys so much for having me.
No problem, man. Here we are sitting in Ocean City, New Year's Eve at Cowboy Coast. We couldn't ask for a better night to do this.
Yeah, man. We've done this the last 2 years, and I love it for so many reasons. I'm a Maryland boy, so it's nice to be in my home state, and it's one of the best New Year's deals ever. And it's a great room, great sound, fun vibe, so it's cool.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Well, Southern Maryland native, so give us a little bit of your background. Tell everybody, I know you have a ton of fans or family out there that know a lot about you, but you grew up in Southern Maryland. How'd you get into music and how'd you get on this path?
So I grew up in Mechanicsville, Maryland, and deep Southern Maryland, just over the Virginia line. And I was raised there. But also, I lived in Kansas, Winfield, Kansas, for 6 years of my life, from 6 to 12. My dad's a power lineman. He worked on power lines. And while we were out in Kansas, really the only time I got to spend time with my old man is when we were in a bucket truck on the weekends. If I wanted to ride with him, I'd ride. But he's blue collar. He didn't talk much. He's from Missouri. He's extremely country. And so our conversation was just him putting on a record and playing it. My dad had me when he was 40. So the music that he listened to was just old country music, old soul music, old, Southern rock type stuff, and that's what we vibed on, and that's really how I got into music. And my dad can sing really well. He never tried for it or anything, but he sounded like Elvis. And he did it, and I was just like, man, I want to be able to sing like that. And so it was really my dad that inspired me to get into music.
That's awesome. Great story. So a lot of people know you have the new EP out, The Blame, okay? Got, how many songs on there? We got 8 songs? 6 to 8? Right around that. Absolutely love it. How long of a process was that for you? Kind of go into a little bit of the writing process and how that all worked.
Yeah, I mean, I write every day. When I'm in Nashville, which is, 65 days out of the year, all those days that I'm there, I'm writing. I'm set up on books, and I have a studio in my house, too, to where I'm constantly writing when I'm off the road, and I write on the road, too. So, that EP came about of me writing just hundreds of songs, and then the label at the time that I was signed to sifted through them, found a good, 4 or 5 that they loved, and then just as I got off that label, I wrote the song The Blame, and I went through a real weird time in 2016. Honest country music is what I love to write, so I wrote, an honest country song. They loved it, fortunately, and put it on that record and let me put it on there even though they didn't own that one. And so it's kind of worked out good for us, so.
That's really good. And you stole my thunder because that's what I was going to say. One of my favorites is The Blame on there. And I'm a sucker for a sad country song, and that is a good sad country song right there.
Thank you, man.
So I know you're very big on saying that we were talking about the fans, not fans, family. You have a great family if you look at that. So I'd give you a minute or two here so you can talk to them and tell everybody how that's worked for you in building that family base.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an independent artist now. We had our moments in there when we had our deals, but I mean, the only reason why I got into those offices, the only reason why I got to those desks was because we were a honky-tonk band that played state to state, town to town, small town, blue-collar, country-loving people. And that's the only reason why we got where we are. And I don't have fans. I can't stand that word. They work hard. I mean, country listeners are hard-working people. They're working 40, 50, 60 hours a week. And on the weekend, they want to come out and forget about, the hard week they had to work, and they want to listen to music. And fortunately, I know how hard they work for their dollars. So them reaching in their pocket and supporting what we do, that's not a fan thing. That's a family thing. So we got a lot of good fans and friends and family out there, not fans. So, yeah.
That is great. I love it. You couldn't have put it better. When I read that, I read a little bit that you had on your About Me about it, and I'm like, man, that is true. And I'm sure they all see that, and the followers, it makes sense, It totally makes sense. Okay, start this car. One of my favorite songs on that EP. Love it, from the sound, the guitar sound in it, to everything. So give me a little bit about that song. Explain it to everybody.
Yeah, I wrote that song with Larry McCoy and Bart Butler. Bart Butler does a lot of John Party stuff. He produced the entire last record for John Party. He wrote a lot of songs on there. He wrote Dirt on My Boots. He's got a ton of hits. And then Larry McCoy has a Thomas Rhett hit on there. So he's they're two really great veteran riders, and I was just blessed enough. Bart had heard some of my music and wanted to write with me, and we got in the room, and that song just kind of fell out. We were talking about cars and trucks, and I love anything Chevy, all things Chevy, and we were talking about how the year, specific year 57 of Chevys, cars, trucks was just a great year for Chevy. And, man, we just started writing about it, how we could turn that into something, and we did. So I was lucky to be in the room with a couple pros. So
That's a great one. Okay, so I'm a firm believer in a good country song has a catchy title, right? It can have a double meaning, the whole 9 yards. Drinking About You is one of my favorites. As soon as I looked at it, going down the list, I'm like, oh, I got to listen to this for that reason. So tell us a little bit about that one.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely I say on stage when we play it, it's. I feel like guys, we process feelings a little different than females do. Females are a lot more in touch with those kind of things and those kind of feelings and thoughts. So us fellas, when we go through a breakup, instead of really sitting and thinking and trying to pick it all apart, we definitely drink through those processes. So instead of thinking about her, you're drinking about her. So that's how it came apart. And I wrote it with a guy named Justin Ebach and Stephen Dale Jones. Justin Ebach's, again, an awesome writer. Stephen Dale Jones wrote One More Day for Diamond Rio. Just two guys that really know how to pick apart a story, and blessed enough to be in the room with them too.
Some big names there.
Oh,
Some
dude,
big
man,
songs,
I'm so lucky. I'm so blessed. How I felt, the market of writers that I fell into, genuinely, I'm so thankful every day. I mean, Nashville has been my college on songwriting, and I really fell into a great group of writers. And even The Blame, I wrote that with Jake Mitchell and Bryce Long. Bryce Long has written so many good songs, and one of my favorites is he wrote Like a Cowboy for Randy Houser. And I feel like that really has started to curve music, country music, back to country music, and just good, honest storytelling. And those guys are so good, man. So I'm blessed to get to have some really good writers on my EP.
That's awesome, man. And Sam, we all know it is no surprise you are a huge motorcycle advocate and lover. Give us a little bit of how that all came about, that you got into the motorcycle deal.
It's a funny story that we're in Ocean City and me telling you this story. My drummer, Joe, who I was looking at earlier, you can't see him, but he's over here. He was messing around one day and was like, man, we got to rent scooters. And I was like, man, I don't want to rent a scooter. And he's like, no, bro, we got to do it. So we ended up riding scooters, And he was like, man, let's just buy one of these things. It'll be fun. We can have some scooters in the trailer, and then we can just cruise them around. So like, okay. So we bought scooters, and I was like, man, these things just don't go fast enough. So I went and ended up going to Indian Music City Indian in Nashville, and checked out some of their bikes and loved their bikes. But I wanted to be able to ride for a really long time. And I have a really good buddy. His name's Jeff Wanamaker. He owns All American Harley Davidson in Southern Maryland. Okay. And he hooked me up with one of the sweetest, sexiest motorcycles. It's a Road Glide. And
is that the green one?
Yeah,
okay.
The green machine, man.
Yeah.
And it's number 200. There's only 200 of them made, and I have one of them, thanks to Jeff. And if y'all are ever looking for a bike, you should go see him. He's the man. And so I started riding, and honestly, I don't know what I did before riding a motorcycle. Like, it's my release. And the stage has always been a release for me, but being in this bus and riding all the time, to be able to get out and sit on a bike and just be in your own head and ride, it's completely just so much therapy. I get it, and I love it, and I'll never stop. I'm so happy that I got into that.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That is great. Okay, so we were chatting a little bit before. You got some new music coming up.
Yeah,
Can you tease everybody with a little bit here?
Yeah, good segue. Actually, riding my motorcycle, I wanted to, when I ride, I like to listen to Skinner, I like to listen to Allman Brothers, I like to listen to Brooks and Dunn. I'm a 90s baby, so I grew up on all that, all that kind of country music and, rock stuff, and I wanted to make that's when I moved to Nashville, that's all I ever wanted to make, really, were those kind of records. And when I was on the deals, I wasn't allowed to make those kind of records. So you go in and you play them the kind of music, and they're like, try to be more like Luke Bryan or be more like Dustin Lynch. And I mean, it's great. I appreciate their process, but I never got to really dig into what I wanted to do. So this past few months, I got off that deal. Now I'm able to do whatever I want. And I made this new record. It's coming out January 19th. It's available for pre-order January 8th. It's called A Little Like Me, which is appropriate because now I get to really show my family. And for the most part, a lot of my followers who've been following me forever since I was a baby, they know that this is the kind of music I love. So they've been patient. They've been very kind on my last 2 records, and I think they like that stuff. But now we're getting ready to get back to everything that we've. I'm a rocker at heart, a rocker with twang, and I have a rock and roll band. And I got to use my guys, my band, which Nashville was never big on either. So I'm excited to get into this next one. So y'all look out for it. Pre-order it, please. My drummer Joe has like 1,900 kids, and that's how we pay for them. So.
That's awesome. That is awesome. All right, we're gonna go to the fun stuff here now. Okay, quick ones, and we'll rattle through. In 2018, Sam Grow will
tour a whole bunch. We're gonna be in a minimum of at least 25 states this year. So we'll be we're gonna be touring really hard. Come and see us, man. Come out to a show.
Some of your favorite venues in Maryland.
Oh gosh, Rams Head Live, Cowboy Coast. One of my favorites that I grew up in. It's unfortunately not really doing music anymore, but it was called Hotel Charles. That was my favorite, one of my favorite spots. God, there's so many, man. Just a ton. I just love playing in Maryland in general, so it's good.
That's great. This is going to be a tough one. Highlight so far. Number 1 highlight so far in your career.
Oh wow. I'm a big, like I said, a huge Brooks and Dunn fan, and we got to open up for Ronnie Dunn, and I'm the kind of guy that if you're my idol, I don't want to meet you because I'm scared that you might be an ass and then I'm not gonna like you anymore. So we played and opened for Ronnie. Ronnie actually came off of his bus and listened to us play, and I didn't expect him to say anything at all, but we got done, and at that time in the set, we had a ZZ Top song in the set, and Brooks and Dunn and ZZ Top did a whole tour together. We came down, I came around the ramp, and Ronnie Dunn himself rolls up in a golf cart and was like, "Hey man, there's only one other band that I've ever heard play that song better," and he said it's ZZ Top. He said, "Great job, you guys did a great job." It's my best moment.
That's hard to beat.
Yeah, I could have been done right there. So.
All right, so here's the hardest one. This interview with B Chord has been
amazing. So much fun.
I promise I paid him. I paid him to do that one.
Don't tell your friends to follow my man. That's just rude. You tag your friends, hashtag it, tell everybody they got to follow this page, man. It's awesome. It's got good stuff going on. He's only 4.5 months in, already killing the game.
And I did not pay him for that one. Maybe I did. Here's a 50. No. All right. So I ask every single artist that I interview one question, and I'm going to ask you the same one. You're stranded on an island. You can take one instrument. Okay, and you could be specific, sentimental value, the whole 9 yards. What would the one instrument be and why?
Oh man, if I could take one instrument, it would be it would be my PRS acoustic. I love it. PRS has been such an amazing company to us, and that acoustic, this particular acoustic that I have, they're kind enough to let me have, and it means a lot to me that company of such size cared and believed enough to let me have a guitar, and I got to have a guitar with me, and I would definitely take that one. It's a beautiful one. I'd be terrified of it being in the sun, but I would bring it.
That's great. That is awesome. Well, everybody, thank you. Sam Grow, January 8th, new album dropping.
You get a song instantly when you pre-order the record. You get a Little Like Me instant, so go and get that thing, man.
Awesome. Follow him if you're not already on everything: Spotify, Instagram, Facebook, all the goodies. At bchord615, we truly appreciate it. Give us a follow as well. Thank you all so much, and we will talk to you next time.
Yeah,
Thanks,
man. Thank you so much.